It's Eurovision week, and whether you know everything about Eurovision that there is or absolutely nothing at all, like you haven't even heard of it, this video is going to share with you everything you need to know in a very cozy 10 minutes or so, I hope, after editing, we'll see. For all the details of this multi-century competition, stay tuned. So, let's get the timer on the screen, go to the toilet if you need to, and let's get started. Eurovision began in 1956. A war-torn Europe was currently patching its cracks after its war, and unification and exchange of cultures was pretty much a must. The European Broadcasting Union, the creators of Eurovision, decided to host the first Eurovision competition in 1956, on the 24th of May, in Switzerland. 7 countries took part that year: Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and the winners and hosts, Switzerland. 66 years later, and 65 competitions later, you can blame the one on COVID, we land at the doorstep of the 2022 Eurovision that's going to be held in Turin, Italy. 7 countries has now become 40 in that time. Yeah, look at all those countries, all whizzing by there. I was going to say them all, but that was going to take way too long. And in that time, the music has become a lot different.
Refrain, couleur du ciel, parfum de mes 20 ans.
Volare, oh, cantare, oh, smile. I love you all the while. With your cute little way, will you promise that you'll say your kisses for me? Save all your kisses for me.
Forever till the end of time. From now on, only you and I. We're going up, 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 up. Euphoria.
Sono fuori di testa, ma diverso da loro. E tu sei fuori di testa, ma diverso da loro. Siamo fuori di testa.
Either way, if you're a country in Eurovision, congratulations, you're now part of one of the global best music competitions ever. One of the most influential in its time, and probably the most watched in history. So, we call this a competition. How does it work? How do you win? Each year, a certain number of countries will participate in a Eurovision, and those countries will fight it out to be the best Eurovision song voted for by the public and by juries to be crowned the Eurovision winner. Countries submit a 3-minute song of whatever genre that they wish. Each country then performs one after the other at the same venue with different stagings. There are quite a few rules that surround what songs you're allowed to submit into Eurovision. The first main few would probably be verbal profanity, and that it must be at least 3 minutes long. And one of the main distinctions is that there must be a singer. You're not allowed any instrumental songs or orchestral songs. Then, after every country has performed, all the countries will then vote for their favourites for a specific voting method, which I'll explain later, and we will then have our Eurovision winner for that year. Once the Eurovision winner is announced, we then know that we're going to be going to that country for the next Eurovision. Hence, we are in Italy this year because Italy won it last year. Points mean prizes, and so in order to win, you must collect as many points as possible from all the other countries. You essentially have 3 minutes to showcase everything that your country's about, your current talent, or you yourself as a singer. That means your staging, your costume, of course your voice, and the narrative of your song must be all carefully executed and shown to everyone as clearly as possible. Maybe you'll decide to dance with drawings, or you'll shoot lasers into a disco ball, or you'll do whatever's happening here. Yeah, this is a serious competition, believe me, but it is true that actually some countries don't really care about the competition themselves, which is why we like them the most, because they just want to have a lot of fun. In other words, don't take it too seriously and have some fun while you watch. Now, being noticed is great, it will surely get people voting for you, but there are certain rules about the staging as well that you must keep in mind. You're only allowed upwards of 6 people to be on stage, and of course you can't have no one on the stage, you need some person to be on the stage and singing. You are not allowed any animals or children, so no puppy dogs or cute babies to get you voting. Again, you're not allowed any political or religious imagery, you're not allowed to sneak anything in. One that people think is allowed but really isn't is hoisting cables. You're not allowed to be brought up into the ceiling from the ground, even though certain movies portray this. And the only live instruments that are allowed are the vocals. So if you do see people playing, know that they aren't, but at least they have recorded the song by doing those instruments. The vocalists are singing though, so no backing vocals that are potentially making their voice even better. It is actually their voice, which is unfortunate for some. Yeah, there is possibility that some of the countries might mess up their performance. And again, this is another part of Eurovision that's really cool. The stakes are super high for every single country in order to win. But Martin, there are so many good acts this year. How am I supposed to choose? I don't know why I tried the Kermit voice. I'm gonna be serious. Oh dear. But Martin, if there's... But Martin, there's so many good acts this year. How on earth am I supposed to choose my favourite out of the 40 countries? To which I say, very well articulated question, seeing as I wrote it. I mean, seeing as you told me it. To which I respond with great difficulty. It's actually probably one of the hardest things to choose your favourite, or maybe it's super easy. But you'll be thankful to know that not all 40 countries will be in the final. There are actually semi-finals that take away some of the poorer acts. Yes, there are semi-finals in Eurovision. Countries are sorted into these two semi-finals, but first, the big five are taken out and automatically put through straight to the final. These countries are France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the United Kingdom. Get in! Man, it would be embarrassing if we weren't in it every year. The reason for this is because they are the biggest financial and cultural contributors to the competition. The hosts from the year also get qualified, but seeing as it's Italy this year, no, nothing happens. It would normally be another country, and then you would have the big six. Then the rest of the 35 countries will be split into the two semi-finals. They were randomly assigned and randomly put in the order of the halves. The first semi-final takes place on the Tuesday, and the second semi-final takes place on the Thursday, with the final of that week being on the Saturday. Out of these two semi-finals, the top 10 will be voted on and decided to be going into the final. When the votes are tallied and the top 10 are finally figured out, they are announced in a random order and without any inkling into what position they came. Basically, anyone who gets through and is actually really poor don't actually know they are. It stops influential voting in the main finals. Now, voting is actually quite simple, yet extremely complicated to explain on video, I found. So you might want to bear with me for this one, you can skip after it, but this is kind of important to how you are going to decide your winner. Each country has a total of 116 points that they can give to other countries. 58 of those points, or half of them, belong to the juries, and 58 of them belong to the televoters. The juries are a collective of around 5 people, 5 musical experts that the country decides to delegate. They have a generally good gist of what is considered good and what is considered current. Hence they have the 50% of the votes that come out of a country. The other 50% belong to us, the humble viewers. For both the juries and the televoters respectively, the voting happens in a similar way. After all the countries have performed, the juries then decide on a full ranking from first to last place. Then the top 10 countries of that list are put aside and the rest are discarded. Out of those 10 countries, the points are then given. 10th place gets 1 point, 9th place gets 2 points, and so on, all the way up to 3rd, who gets 8 points, 2nd, who gets 10 points, and 1st place getting the You'll hear it a lot actually, so get your French ready. 12 points is essentially 12 points in French. And also when they're announcing the points, you will hear the country saying it in French as well. I don't know why, I think it's probably because Switzerland were the first winners and they spoke general French as well. Yeah, just let it slide. It's cool, I guess, for every French viewer. But Martin, how do we decide what points we're giving? The same calculation happens with the 50% that comes from the televoters. It depends on what country you're from, but generally here in the UK, we have a limited number of votes for any of the countries, of course, except for ourselves. We then vote for who we decide should be the winner individually, and the tallies for each country are then sorted. This way we also have the same representative list from first all the way to last. The same thing happens, the top 10 are taken away and they are given the points from us televoters. Then, once the voting is complete, we then have a winner and we announce it on the stage to everyone straight away. No we don't, no, we need it to be tense, we need it to be, I don't know, let's say 2 hours long. Oh yeah, we're counting the votes. No, they're not counting it, they're just building suspense and tension. I mean, it's a very tense thing. Some of these acts have been preparing for several years before they ever get onto a Eurovision stage. So yeah, so how does the announcement process work? Let's cover that quickly. Firstly, the juries. Each country presents their points one after the other. We go through a select random list, normally starting with the host country from last year and ending with the host country themselves. Every country that's visited will then give their 1 to 10 points, normally happening on the screen straight away, and then a spokesperson from that country will announce the 12 points or the 12 points. Once every jury from every country is then given their votes, we then know 50% of the votes that will be given from that year. And we can generally start to make some stories about how the final scoreboard will be. However, that's not strictly true because the juries and the televoters rarely vote the same. You have to imagine that the juries are musical experts, so they like to be impressed, they like to see brand new music on the world stage, and they just generally like to have a lot of skill in their songs, so they'll tend to vote for skillish songs. They're also a little bit more biased towards countries that are neighbours, but we disagree on that. Televoters are generally big monkey brain and like big flashy lights and cool stories over anything else. We don't necessarily like skill, we prefer really good songs that are fun and ones that we repeat. It's generally more of a personal pick. Either way, I think that just makes it more exciting, seeing as we don't really know who's going to win. It's rarely that the jury winner has won the competition. The televote part of the section is generally a little bit harder to explain, but is probably the most exciting part of the entire competition. We work from last place all the way up to first place through the jury's votes. Starting from last place, we give them the number of points that they would have gotten after all of the countries would have given their vote. This means that countries can receive literally hundreds of points straight off the bat and get put straight back into the competition. Similarly, countries can also be given the dreaded 0 points, which means 0 points. And the UK has had this happen twice in the 5 years that this thing has been running for. Not a great track record in Sam Ryder we trust. This means that when we get to the first place, the country that had the most points after the juries, we still don't know if they're going to have enough points to overtake or maintain their lead. Then, once all of those televoting points have been allocated, we have finally our winner, and they will hold the Eurovision Crystal Trophy aloft and give some sort of inspirational message. We then start preparations for the next Eurovision that will happen in that country and get super excited all over again. But all this talk about points is just to make sure that you guys know what's going on. Really, the awesome part about Eurovision is the songs themselves. It's the stories that the artists tell. They are all from different countries, all from different cultures. Those completely on the opposite side of the world from you, or the opposite side of Europe, will have different tastes, will have different sounds that you may never have heard of before. And it represents that country as a whole. I have found some of my favourite artists for Eurovision and some of the coolest sounding genres that I've never even heard of before, and I'm sure that you will find something as well that will appease you too. Eurovision is all about finding your favourites. It's about finding a song that you can relate to. Maybe you're going through a tough breakup, or maybe you are on top of the world. There will be a song in there that really sings out to you. And essentially that's why I love Eurovision. It's a celebration of music. Yes, it's a celebration of countries and what they can do, and you might see that some of those countries with big budgets tend to put on more flashy shows, but then the little countries also put on some really heartfelt words and music. Essentially, this is a way that the country boundaries are broken down and we all agree on the same great music. You might find yourself voting for a really weird little country, maybe, don't know, Georgia or Armenia or something very small that you may never have heard of before. This naturally means that there are some very weird songs in Eurovision, and there'll be some songs this year that you might want to be like, what on earth is happening? And I guess that is just the beauty of Eurovision, because when you give everyone the musical stage, they will give you every musical genre that you can think of. Seriously, think of a musical genre and there will be a song that goes to it. Jazz, metal, party of course will be in there, and they will all be in Eurovision, and maybe there is a song that sinks out to you too. And there you have it. That's your crash course of Eurovision in this number of minutes and seconds. I cannot see that number because I am recording this before I edit it, so I won't be able to see it. If you would like to know about my opinions on the country for this year, make sure you check out the video in the description once it's uploaded. I give all my opinions on the song from this year, and you can react to them as accordingly as well. Hope to see you again in another video soon, and cheers. Take care.